Welcome to the garage, everyone. On behalf of Forge College, I am absolutely pumped to dive into today's explainer. We are currently in a super crucial phase of your capstone project, the seamless integration of a Solana dApp into a marketplace. And this whole thing fits right into our broader integration with Solana dApp Marketplaces module, which of course is a key part of the Building dApps on Solana track. Today's specific mission: implementation sprints, building smart contract interactions with optimization focus. I know that's a bit of a mouthful, but trust me, it is going to be incredibly fun. We're rolling up our sleeves today, so let's get our hands dirty.
So, if you recall from our last explainer, architecture patterns and complexity management, we spent a ton of time acting as architects. We drafted blueprints, we planned out our transactions, we sketched state transitions. Basically, we built a really solid task backlog. But look, paper is patient, right? A blueprint doesn't leak oil. It doesn't throw a runtime error in your face. The planning phase is officially over. It is time to put on the hard hats, grab the wrenches, and actually build this engine.
So, here is our work order for today's shift. We are going to transition straight from those blueprints into actual building. From there, we'll craft some transactions, measure their raw performance, do some iterative tuning to speed things up, and finally, run through our final inspection to make sure this thing is road ready.
All right, first things first. Let's get the shop set up.
Before we start bolting any actual parts together, we absolutely need to configure our environment using a local validator. If you've never used one, think of a local validator as your own private test track. It simulates the entire Solana network right there on your local machine. Because let's be real, if you tried to build and test directly on the main network, every little typo or failed experiment would cost you real soul. Nobody wants that. On a local validator, it's a completely safe sandbox. You get infinite test tokens, instant transaction finality. You can literally crash the car a dozen times and no one is around to laugh at you. It is exactly what we need for rapid, stress-free testing.
Okay, the shop is open. Now, let's actually assemble some parts and start crafting these transactions.
When you're building a standard, single instruction transaction, it is honestly wonderfully elegant. It reads like a beautifully clean assembly manual. Step 1. You establish the connection to your local validator using your TypeScript client. Step 2. You carefully build your instruction, pointing it right at your target program account and passing in whatever arguments you need. Step 3. You take that raw instruction and wrap it up snugly inside a transaction object. And finally, Step 4. You sign it with the user's key pair, send it off to the network, and wait for the thumbs up. It's highly logical, and really, this sequence forms the backbone of all Web3 interactions.
But what if you've got a whole list of things to do at once? That brings us to a real game changer for marketplace integrations: instruction batching. In simple terms, this just means combining multiple related state updates into a single transaction. I love to think of this as carpooling for your data. Let's say a user is buying an NFT on your marketplace. You've got to deduct their funds, transfer the digital asset, and pay the creator their royalty. Instead of taking 3 separate cars to the exact same destination, meaning 3 separate, slow network calls, you just pack everyone into a single minivan. It saves time, it saves precious network resources, and honestly, it just makes perfect sense.
When you compare a single instruction flow directly to a batched flow, the efficiency becomes mathematically obvious. With a single instruction, you are suffering that round-trip network overhead every single time you make a state update. You wait for the block, you wait for finality, you pay the base transaction fee over and over again. But by batching, you pack all those related updates into one single trip. By doing that, we drastically cut down that round-trip overhead and massively lower our total RPC latency. For your users, clicking buy suddenly feels snappy and instant rather than sluggish and clunky.
Right, so the engine is built, but now we've got to put it on the dyno. It's time to measure our performance. Once everything is running, we have to measure how efficiently it runs. On Solana, the ultimate metric we care about is compute units. Think of compute units as the fuel or the gas that your transaction burns when the validator actually executes it. Highly complex transactions burn way more fuel, and here is the kicker. If your transaction is a total gas guzzler and hits the network's hard compute limit, it flat out fails. It stalls out on the track, and your user gets a really frustrating error message. So our job as high-performance developers is to measure this fuel consumption and squash it down as much as humanly possible.
So how exactly do we get those numbers? Well, we inject profiling hooks right into our client code. First, we wrap our transaction calls with standard performance timers to catch the exact wall clock latency. Second, we parse the compute units consumed directly from the RPC simulation logs. And this third point is absolutely crucial. We don't just run this once. we run 50 iterations of each flow. Why 50? Because network conditions are wild. One super fast run might just be pure luck. 50 runs give us actual statistically reliable data. Finally, we dump all of these metrics, the latency, the retries, the compute units, into a neat, tidy baseline CSV report for us to analyze.
Got our baselines? Great. Now for the really fun part, iterative tuning. Let's grease those gears.
Before you touch a single line of code, though, you need to tattoo this golden rule of software engineering on your brain. Measure before you optimize. We have all seen developers blindly swapping out random lines of code, desperately crossing their fingers that it makes things faster. That is just guessing in the dark. Your baseline metrics are your objective yardstick for success. Measure first, optimize second. Always.
With that baseline CSV in our hands, we start hunting for low-friction optimizations. These are small tweaks that give us massive performance boosts without needing to rewrite the whole application. Step 1, cut out redundant account reads. If you already fetched a user's profile data at the start of a flow, cache it in memory. Don't ask the network for it again 3 lines later. Step 2, pre-allocate accounts off-chain. Let the user's browser do the heavy lifting of calculating account sizes before sending the transaction, rather than burning your precious on-chain compute to do the math. Step 3, parallelize independent RPC calls. If you're fetching an asset price and a wallet balance and they don't depend on each other at all, fire them off at the exact same time. Don't wait in line.
When we apply these tweaks, the results are just undeniable. You will literally see your post-tuning metrics drop significantly compared to your original baseline. In fact, for this specific capstone milestone, we have a very strict target, a 10% reduction in either total latency or compute units consumed. When you see your numbers drop by 10% or more, you have concrete mathematical proof that your tuning worked. No more guessing. You've officially and provably optimized your DApp engine.
All right, final step of the day. Passing inspection. Think of this as the final emissions test.
We've built the engine, we've measured it, and we've tuned it up. Treat this final checklist as your literal mechanics clipboard before you can pass this milestone. First up, the transactions execute criterion. We run our automated test suite to guarantee absolutely zero runtime errors. Next, state correctness. We explicitly check our account assertions to make absolutely sure the right data ended up in the right place. Then, profiling improvement. We compare our newly generated CSVs to that baseline to verify we hit that strict 10% drop. And finally, documentation. We review our markdown. Because in a real-world Web3 team, if an optimization isn't documented, it basically doesn't exist. You've got to check every single box here to pass.
Look at what we accomplished. You've converted backlog tasks into working code. You've batched complex instructions, captured reliable baselines, and tuned everything for maximum speed. This sets us up perfectly for our next explainer on integration testing and debugging. Because, hey, even the best engines throw a check engine light sometimes, and you've got to know how to pop the hood and fix it. So ask yourself, is your code just working, or is it truly optimized to scale to millions of marketplace users? Thank you so much for hanging out in the garage with me today. This explainer was brought to you by Forge College. Be sure to head over to forge.college to dive way deeper into this subject and explore a whole world of awesome Web3 topics. Keep building, keep measuring, and I'll catch you in the next one.